Welcome to the Lantern's Tale. Tonight's story is true, every word drawn from real events. Listen closely. As we walk the fog-shrouded streets of Imber, a village lost to the echoes of war. High on the Salisbury Plain in England, a lonely village once stood, a place of thatched cottages, a centuries-old church, and a tight-knit farming community. Imber was its name, a quiet parish dating back to the 10th century. Life here was simple and rooted in tradition. Farmers tending sheep, children running through the chalky fields, and villagers gathering each Sunday in St. Giles's Church. But in 1943, as the Second World War raged across Europe, everything changed. Imber's fate was sealed not by bombs or enemy soldiers, but by an order from their own government. The War Office came to Imber with grim news. The entire village was to be evacuated. The British Army needed Imber to train American troops for the looming invasion of Europe. They said it was temporary, a few months, no more. The villagers had just 47 days to pack their lives into carts and leave the only home they had ever known. Families carried what they could. Ox-drawn wagons creaked under the weight of beds, pots, and childhood memories. The villagers left in silence, the ancient bells of St. Giles tolling a final farewell. They believed they would return when the war ended, that Imber would wait for them in the mists. But Imber did not wait. Once the villagers were gone, soldiers arrived. They turned cottages into barracks, fields into firing ranges. Shells thundered over the rolling hills, echoing through the hollowed-out homes. Bullet holes pocked the old stone walls, and tanks rumbled down the narrow lanes. The war ended in 1945, but the army did not leave. Imber remained under military control, and the villagers' pleas to return fell on deaf ears. Year after year, they wrote letters, gathered petitions, and stood at the iron gates that now guarded their lost home. But the army would not give back the land. The years passed, and Imber became a ghost village, its cottages crumbling under ivy and lichen, windows shattered by shell fire. Only St. Giles's Church remained intact, standing watch over the empty streets. The army allowed the villagers back once a year to hold a single service and remember what was taken from them. Those who returned spoke of a silence that pressed in like a weight. They said you could almost hear the voices of children echoing through the empty schoolhouse, or catch the faint smell of bread from the long-abandoned bakery. Some claimed to see fleeting figures at dusk, women in headscarves, men with farm tools in hand, shadows of the life that once thrived here. In the decades since, Imber has become a place of pilgrimage for the curious and the lost. Urban explorers slip through the fences to wander the hollow streets. They speak of cold spots in the doorways and a sense of being watched by eyes that no longer see. Some say the spirits of Imber's last villagers linger here still, bound to the land they were forced to leave. The army still uses Imber for training, and the crack of gunfire echoes across the moor. But each year, on the feast day of St. Giles, the church doors open once more. Descendants of the villagers gather to light candles and sing hymns, their voices rising into the rafters of the lonely church. They say that for a few hours, Imber lives again. The air grows warmer, the silence lifts, and the spirits of the lost village come home to hear the voices of their children once more. Thank you for listening to The Lantern's Tale. If you enjoyed this true story, join us next time, if you dare.